Alright guys, this is part 2 of a seminar at Cabela's in Tulalip, Washington, just before the Everett Coho Derby, to help you be successful in fishing Dick Nite Spoons for fall coho salmon.
So if you're in a boat, and I'm going to show this to you for bank anglers, if you're in a boat and the river's running from you guys as you're looking at this, you're right to left, just imagine this is straight out in front of me and this is downriver. I don't want to cast straight in front of me. I want to cast up a little from straight in front of me. Now, if I go a little too high, that's okay. You may have to reel a little bit, right? Because here's the thing. We're not trying to catch the fish that are right here. We're trying to catch the fish that are right here, right? So as your stuff lands, it gets settled, you start fishing. This is the effective water that you're going to fish. When you get to the end of the drift here, you're coming up off the bottom, just burn it in and do it all over again, right? If you cast up here, bad things are going to happen. If you would like to support Dick Nite Spoons, keep casting up here. Because what you're going to do is you're going to hook up and you're going to lose your lure. 9 times out of 10, it never fails. I'll catch a client, they've cast too high. I said, stop, burn that in as fast as you can, and let's do it again. Because you need to get the lure in the right spot to prepare for the spot you're fishing. And I know it's hard, guys, but if you see fish jumping up there and that's really where you want to fish, then you need to move up there. So move, whether you're in a boat or a bank. So just remember, slightly up from straight in front of you. Okay? It's the same thing if you're on the bank. If you're a bank angler, and this is what it looks like for you, you do the same thing. You say, that's in front of me, that's the water I want to fish. So if you don't want to fish that water, you want to fish that, move. Okay? Cast slightly above, a little bit's okay, but put some action on it, because if you cast too far up, you are going to hang up. Okay, trolling and back trolling techniques. Guys, this works. A couple years ago, I did a seminar someplace and I said, you guys should think about trolling this section of river on the Snohomish. And people went, that's a great idea. Prior to that, you couldn't troll in there because everyone was anchored up drift fishing. But it was a great spot to troll. And you need to look for those spots. And sometimes if you're in a boat, you're going to go from drift fishing to trolling or back trolling. So it is very effective and it lets you cover a lot of water. If you're in a boat and you're not quite sure where the fish are running up, back trolling is effective because you can go from side to side in the river and locate fish. All right? Locating fish, that's the key. Now, you guys can troll, as Jim mentioned, with lead. Okay, this is a trolling setup. You can change the length of your dropper depending upon how far off the bottom you want to be. Or you can use a diver setup, and it doesn't have to be this diver. It could be a diver depending upon how deep you want to fish. This is a Brad's diver, okay? This diver here looks like a plug. And in fact, you can use a plug if you want. I just like to have divers so I don't have to cut the hooks off, right? This is a Brad's diver. Look at this. Same drift fishing setup. It's on a snap swivel that moves, right? It's just a dropper on there. I use fluorocarbon for my droppers so that when I cast it out there to start, this bad boy doesn't wrap around the main line, right? Or the leader. It's a little stiffer so it stays away. This guy dives exactly 7 feet. So this dives down, and as that dives down, my Dick Nite's back here. Now on this setup, you can go 7-8 feet on your leader, but I caution you, don't go too long, because if you reel this all the way to the end, and the fish is pulling and your leader's too long and you can't get the fish to the boat or to the bank, right? So 7 feet is about max, but I'm running a 9.5 foot rod here. I could go 8 if I wanted to. And you can also definitely go with fluorocarbon for the leader. Just keep it light, okay? So that's basically your diving setup. If I want to fish deeper and troll, get a number 10 jet diver. Now I'm diving deeper, right? You guys can come up in a little bit and play with this stuff. I just showed you the setup, but it looks exactly like the drift fishing setup. The only difference, guys, is I'm adding weight or I'm adding a jet diver, right? And Jim talked to you guys about getting that gear away from your boat, trolling so that it's just, you reach down, it gets to the bottom, it touches bottom, give one crank. Feel what's going on there, okay? Troll speed, can't go too fast, but you gotta go fast enough to let the Dick Nite action properly. Here's your trolling setup with your jet diver. Same thing, you're just putting a jet diver on there. Depends on the water you're fishing, okay? Plunking. Anybody like to plunk in here? Any bait guys? Yeah. Plunking works. It works for a variety of baits, lures. Works very well for Dick Nites. If you're going to plunk, I want to jump right into this setup. If you're going to plunk from a boat, use a cannonball, okay? If you're going to plunk from the bank, use a pyramid. If you're on the bank and you try and plunk with a cannonball, it's gonna roll down river. That's not good, okay? You want that gear in the travel lane where the fish are. So you need a pyramid weight, and you might bump it up from 2 to 4 ounces to hold it in place, right? If you've ever seen the professional plunkers, and we have a lot of them here in the Northwest, they've got a rod holder that they shove in the ground and it's up here and it holds that rod really high. That's important. You want that rod high above the bank because it's keeping your line from laying flat and getting caught in the river and now pulling your gear down river. So that's why it's so high, okay? Just make sure you shove that thing in the bank real good so when that fish hits, you don't lose everything, right? Plunking, you have to use enough weight to keep you on the bottom consistently. If you're in a boat, maybe it is just an ounce. Maybe it's 2. But from the bank, most definitely, it's going to be a little bit more than what a guy in a boat might use, all right? If you're in a boat, you guys watch your angle. A good angle for plunking is 45 degrees on the line. Okay, so if you can get your line at about 45 degrees, you're back far enough. Because here's the thing. When you're plunking, if I put a 3-foot dropper and a 6-foot leader, but I throw my gear way out there and I put my rod in the holder so I'm really flat, I'm not 3 feet off the bottom anymore, right? Because the angle, I know this is going to be highly technical for a redneck like me, the angle of departure decreases. So now I'm not 3 feet off the bottom. I want to be 3 feet off the bottom. I want my line out at 45 degrees. So now I'm 3 feet off the bottom. If I want to be 2 feet off the bottom, put a 2-foot dropper on, right? Real simple. Bank anglers, keep your rod tip high. Keep it high. That keeps that main line out of the river. For coho, guys, it's a good hook set, especially when you're plunking. For pinks, you just kind of pick the rod up and start reeling, right? You don't want to have a hook set because you'll rip the lure out of their mouth. But for coho, I put the stick to them. I want to bury that hook in the top of their jaw, and I don't want them coming off, okay? All right, so effective Dick Nite presentation. It should have a wobbling action. And I even brought my handy dandy little, and I'll show you a video, but This is my ginormous Dick Nite spoon, courtesy of Dick Nite. And I love using it for presentation. Guys, it's a wobbler. It wobbles, okay? If it rotates, you're not fishing effectively. It's a wobbler, so it needs to have a wobbling action, okay? If you reel too fast or the current's too fast, you're not gonna achieve the proper action. Sometimes water you wanna fish with a Dick Nite spoon just might be too fast to fish it there. So find different water, maybe below or above that piece, because if it's where the fish are running, they're gonna run out from the top or they're gonna come into that water. If the lure, and I know it's hard for people to understand because this is a metal lure, but if the lure wobbles properly, the hydraulics of the river, right, the flow of the river, it'll keep it off the bottom. Just the other day, I had clients fishing a spot and this guy was catching freshwater clams, right? And I said, you're in this particular water, you have to reel a little bit faster. Because what was happening is the lure was just touching bottom and those clams were snapping shut on it. You know? So I said, so if you're catching one of those, you're not reeling fast enough. And he goes, oh, I get it. I get it. And that's how it works.
All right, guys, that wraps it up for part 2. Make sure you move on to part 3 for some more great information on fishing Dick Nite spoons for coho salmon in the Puget Sound rivers.
Dick Nite Spoons, helping anglers of all ages catch fish since the 1940s.
Izorline, catch what you've been missing.